my end, I want to die a dragon rider's death. Not that of some fat country lord.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 things you missed in House of the Dragon, Episode 6. For this list, we're looking at the callbacks, foreshadowings, and subtle details in the 6th episode of HBO's Game of Thrones prequel series. Beware, here be spoilers. Have you noticed how often rats turn up around Viserys? Tell us what else you spotted in the comments. Number 10, the Year of the Red Spring.
I am a knight. And a warrior. And I have played my part here. Faithfully. For 10 years.
Titled The Princess and the Queen, the 6th episode kicked off after a 10-year time jump. It was sad to see Millie Alcock and Emily Carey absent from the cast, but Emma Darcy and Olivia Cooke did impressive jobs taking over the roles of Rhaenyra and Alicent.
Rhaenyra, you should be resting after your labors.
I have no doubt that you would prefer that, Your Grace.
What you might not have known is where exactly we're now at in Westerosi history. Several events in the episode correspond to the year 120 AC, which became known as the Year of the Red Spring due to a series of notable deaths. The timeline between the show and the source material doesn't quite match up, so we may be a little later, but not before the outbreak of civil war in 129 AC. Number 9, a disarming return. The previous episode ended with King Viserys I collapsing, and a rat seeming to symbolize his death. But he returned in Episode 6, albeit much older and more haggard. In George R.R. Martin's book, Fire and Blood, Viserys became rather stout and suffered from, quote, gout, aching joints, back pain, and a tightness in the chest.
I do not need the blank.
In House of the Dragon, his affliction is much more sinister, with a wound from the Iron Throne leading to an infection that soon covers his arm and back. Fans have speculated that it's grayscale, while actor Paddy Considine calls it, quote, a form of leprosy. After the time jump, he's gone from missing a few fingers to missing his arm. We hope they had some milk of the poppy around for that procedure.
What happy news this morning.
Indeed, Your Grace.
Where is he? Where is my grandson? There he is.
Number 8, a dragon rider's demise.
I could lay open the womb, try to remove the infant by way of the blade. But I cannot say for a surety whether it lives.
Or the mother survive it?
No.
At this point, the most frightening thing in all of Westeros has gotta be a cesarean section. We can't blame Laena for running from even the possibility, although we are amazed she was so fast on her feet, leaving her attendants and Daemon in the dust.
Dracarys! 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 Dracarys!
Her immolation was hardly missable, but what some viewers may not have known is how this departs from Fire and Blood. There, Laena births a malformed son who soon dies. She tries to reach Vhagar for one last flight, but collapses.
We've already had one person die sort of in their childbirth bed, and I just felt like Laena doesn't go that way. She's gonna go out like a warrior.
The show gave Laena a much more memorable and dramatic ending instead. Number 7, royal inheritance.
To have one child like that is a mistake. To have 3 is an insult. To the throne, to you. To House Velaryon and the match you battled so hard to make for her, not to mention decency itself.
The Maury Povich show would have had a field day in Westeros, which seems sorely in need of paternity tests. Of course, while King Viserys might marvel at the mysteries of nature, it's obvious to everyone that Harwin is the father of Rhaenyra's children.
Nature is a thing of mysterious works.
This parallels the scandal that ignited all the action in Game of Thrones. As Ned Stark learned, Robert Baratheon's bastards all had dark hair, revealing that Jaime Lannister was the real father of the royal princes.
There was one phrase he kept repeating. The seed is strong, I think it was.
The seed is strong.
We guess Harwin's, seed is strong too. Number 6. A Cursed Castle.
You've heard the stories of Harrenhal, Your Grace. It's built in hubris by Harren the Black as a monument to his own greatness. Blood mixed into the mortar. It is said to be a cursed place.
Growing up, a lot of us dreamt of having our very own castle, with a drawbridge, ramparts, towers, the works. But we think we'd pass on Harrenhal. We learned of the curse of Harrenhal in Game of Thrones, during which the castle changed hands over half a dozen times.
Harrenhal is cursed. Never took you for a superstitious man.
The castle was originally completed back in the year 2 BC, but that same year, Aegon the Conqueror unleashed Balerian's dragonfire on its towers, reducing much of it to rubble and starting a tragic tradition.
1 million men could have marched on these walls, and 1 million men would have been repelled. But an attack from the air with dragon fire. Harren and all his sons roasted alive within these walls.
House of the Dragon saw Lionel Strong and his son Harwin also succumb to the curse.
I will die!
We guess that leaves Larys as the strongest man standing. Number 5. A Complicated Family Tree. Incest was a major theme in Game of Thrones, which kicked off with the relationship between twins Jaime and Cersei Lannister, and culminated in Jon Snow's romance and betrayal of his aunt Daenerys.
Things I do for love.
House of the Dragon has already made us squirm with an uncomfortable scene between Rhaenyra and her uncle Daemon. But the family tree has gotten more complicated than you may have realized. Because Rhaenyra married Laenor and Daemon wed Laenor's sister Laena, Rhaenyra and Daemon are also family-in-law.
Life has, I know, disappointed you. Perhaps I too am not the wife you would have wished for yourself.
Laena.
Oh, and Rhaenyra's proposal that her son Jacaerys marry Alicent's daughter Helaena? Helaena and Jacaerys are aunt and nephew.
My son Jacaerys will inherit the Iron Throne after me. I propose we betroth him to your daughter Helaena. Ally ourselves. Once and for all.
That would have made Viserys Jacaerys' grandfather and father-in-law. Helaena would have been Rhaenyra's half-sister and daughter-in-law. Number 4. House of the Dragons. The dragons in the show are all quite distinct, with different horns, scale colors, and silhouettes. Showrunner Ryan Condal has said there will be 17 in total. In case you want to keep track, here are the ones we've seen so far. There's Rhaenyra's yellow she-dragon Syrax, and Daemon's red sinuous mount Caraxes, nicknamed the Bloodworm. Laenor rides the silver-gray Seasmoke, and Rhaenys, the Red Queen, Melis. Episode 6 introduced Jacaerys' young dragon Vermax, Helena's pale blue she-dragon Dreamfire, and Laena's hulking she-dragon Vhagar, the oldest and largest alive. Laena mentioned Vhagar in a previous episode, and must have since found and bonded with her.
Do you know where Vhagar is now?
The Dragon Keepers believe she made home somewhere on the coast of the Narrow Sea.
By the way, the nickname of the pig trotted out for Aemond is a pun on Aegon the Conqueror's mount Balerion the Black Dread.
Behold, the pink dread.
Number 3. Racallio Ryndoon. Oblivious to the shadow hanging over Rhaenyra, a drunken Laenor rambles about the war in the Stepstones.
War is afoot again in the Stepstones, Rhaenyra. The Triarchy takes new life from its alliance with Dawn.
He's heard of a general from the free city of Tyrosh who dyes his beard and wears women's clothes, which amuses him to no end.
He says there is a Tyroshi general there, a giant, they say, who dyes his beard purple and wears women's frocks.
This references a character from Fire and Blood with the colorful, swashbuckling name of Racallio Ryndoon. He was a man of contradictions, a foul-mouthed drunkard who also delighted in sweet scents and fine frocks. In battle, he wielded swords in both hands. Here's hoping that such an incredible character makes an appearance later in the show. Number 2. the Rainbow Connection.
Have you been half asleep? And have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name.
There are over 2,000 named characters in George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire novels. Where does he get his inspiration? Well, there are a lot of Aegons and Joffreys, but Martin also dipped into a rather unexpected well. Namely, Jim Henson. In episode 6, the small council mentions Grover Tully, the Lord of Riverrun.
Why was this issue not brought before Lord Grover? Has he grown so feeble he cannot settle a quarrel over rocks?
In the books, Martin gave Grover a grandson named Elmo, and great-grandsons Kermit and Oscar. Kermit is described as commander of their host, but green as summer grass. Oscar was still greener and cursed with prickly pride.
Swamp mushy muddy, swamp mushy muddy.
Their different colors are represented by the names of the forks of the Trident River, which runs through their territory: blue, red, and green. Before we unveil our top pick, here is an honorable mention: Helena's prophetic words. Keep these in mind for future episodes.
They said they found a dragon for me.
The last ring has no legs at all.
But it was a pig.
You will have a dragon one day.
You'll have to close an eye.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Century of Blood. Game of Thrones brought us to Pentos, where we were first introduced to Daenerys, and after Tyrion fled across the Narrow Sea. We visit the Free City again in House of the Dragon, as the Prince of Pentos delves into the history of Essos.
A toast to Aegon the Conqueror, your exalted forebear, who joined our cause against Volantis in the Century of Blood.
As readers of the books know, the Century of Blood that he mentions was a period of chaos that follows the doom of Valyria, when a cataclysm destroyed the capital of the Valyrian Empire. In the sudden power vacuum, the Dothraki pillaged and burned cities, and Volantis tried to assert power over Essos until Aegon the Conqueror joined the fight.
On the great dragon Balerion, he flew to our aid in Lys and burned a fleet of enemy ships, thus turning the tide.
Aegon the Conqueror.
Who knows? Maybe one day we'll get an Aegon spin-off too. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.